Hello and welcome to the first in a series of fall and Halloween drawing and watercolor tutorials. I'm Christy Dranak and I'm so happy you're here, and let's just get to drawing. So first project I have for you guys is pumpkin patch swatches. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about drawing pumpkins, and then we're going to create a page of pumpkins, so a little drawing activity, and then we'll go into some watercolor techniques. We'll learn several of them, several beginning watercolor techniques when we paint our pumpkins. So here we go. So I recommend you pull up a reference and look at different pumpkins, or if you just remember, you know, there's wide ones, long ones, skinny ones, fat ones. So I'm using a waterproof pen here. It's a Uniball Signo. Now for your practice drawings, it doesn't matter, but when we go to do the watercolor, it will. So just wanted to let you know that. I'll have all the materials down at the bottom. So you're kind of just doing a little C and then a backwards C for this one. And a stem, just a curved line, a little straight and curved again. And you can, to make it three-dimensional, you can pull around the back there and start drawing in the grooves of the pumpkin since they're not totally smooth. There's your first pumpkin. You can add fun things like leaves, swirls, if you want to make it more whimsical, artistic-like. A little leaf here. You could do leaves like that, like a little oval. You can do other kinds of leaves. I'll show you on some other ones here. We don't want to fill that guy up too much. You can now do a wider pumpkin. And I kind of like them wonky. You know, pumpkins aren't totally perfect circle, so you can go like this. And I like those twisted stems, so see I did that, and then go across. And not worrying about too much, just having a lot of fun, a lot of curvy shapes. So if you practice this shape and this shape, you got it down. See right there's part of your pumpkin. You can finish the bottom. Sometimes if you look at them, they're a little bit bumpy there because of those grooves, and those grooves meet up in between where that comes up, and then the stem. And if you want it to be more 3D, you go around that stem like that and bring it around. Okay, and if you'd like to set it into the ground, you can do that as well. So and you wouldn't want it to be flat ground, that would look wrong. So if you do a little bit of like that, and then it's sitting into the ground. And then for a taller pumpkin, just make your line longer. Just real confident swoops there. And I do recommend using a pen, that way you can't erase. And you just have to go for it, and then you'll get really confident, nice lines. Let's see here. And all right, so there's all the different shapes of pumpkins, and I mean, you could even do little, I've seen those little tiny, they're a little bit rounder. And if you bring that stem down a bit, that's how you're adding that 3D. And then it comes around. Okay, if you want just to do like more flat looking pumpkin, or like you're looking at it just straight on and you can't see the top of it, you can do this. Just have it come like this, and then just like that. And again, you can add those swirlies, or you can add cute little leaves, and you can do these kind of leaf shapes. So really, I mean, we're using just a ton of this shape and this shape is how we're creating our pumpkins. If you want to do jack-o'-lantern, you know, make those fun. I always like the cute ones. A little happy face, a little tooth, and little stem there. And then if you want to add like the little eye there, do something like that. So just have a lot of fun with it, and you're going to create a whole page of these, and we'll watercolor them in. So I'm going to review it because we'll create our page here. So I kind of like my page to look really finished and polished. So I'm also going to show you how to do like a little banner. So decide if you want your banner at the bottom or top if you'd like a banner. And to do a banner, again, same shapes. So we're just swooping. And then I like it to be, I think, like you can decide if you want this part to be popping out at you or this part. So I'm going to have that be going back. So I'm going to have it wider here, and then I'm going to have it start coming closer together as it goes back. And then you just round it out and go like this. put it together, and then same thing over here, just round it out. Okay, and that is the front of your banner. And you're going to add your swoops here, just add a little circle there, and it's going to come out like this, back like that. So all these same shape over and over again, but look what you can make. It looks so cool. Like this, and then just bring it down. You have your first fold there. Bring that down. And then bring this down right here. And one more fold. Just coming out, and I like to do a little ribbon cut there. And there you have your first side. And then over here, we're just going to come along here and do that nice ribbon fold and whoop. All right, and then you can add your wording. And I'm not a fancy letterer, or I like wonky letters. Just kind of have it go with the curve though here as you go around. And then it's going to start getting smaller because it's going away. And also the letters will start getting closer together, so a little bit of perspective here. Yeah, lesson 2, you get a lot in this drawing lesson, but it looks really simple, which is neat. And so the letters are going to start getting closer and smaller as it goes away from us. Okay. And there you have it. And if you want to fancy up your letters, you can go back and like do things like this. Real simple stuff, and you can leave it open like that, or you can color it in. And again, this would get smaller as well. Your details are going to become less the further something goes away. You can't see the details as well. Okay. All right, and there's our little label for our pumpkin patch. And then we can just start drawing in pumpkins. And I always like to add elements where things are overlapping to add dimension. So like add in this guy here. And I have a watercolor class that I did for Christmas time, which I talk a lot about this too when you're drawing like legs and things and outfits, so that you can draw through. Like a lot of times I'd have you draw through. If you're using a pencil, you draw the whole shape. That way it translates a little better. But I just want this page to look fun and carefree, really loose, because we're gonna have some fun with watercolor on here as well. And then, like, vary up the way you have the stems going and the shape of the stems too. And then maybe give some, you know, the little swirly, you know, little leaf or something. And then see that pumpkin coming down a little more there. You can put one in the corner here if you wanted. And I just fill up the space. I'm not overthinking it per se, just kind of filling up the space nice. And I really like this kind of stem where it twists. So then you create that twist, so you just do the lines there, and then those lines will go straight. You can add your marks there. And you can vary those marks, you see that adds some fun dimension too. Okay, and then we'll just keep filling it up here. So we'll come over here. And you can kind of start throwing them in at different angles too, which I think is fun. So like this guy, be like you can see part of the top of it. And then, so you can see some of the back there. So you throw those lines back, and then like this. Okay. And then just whatever will fit, like kind of fill it up so you can have fun and do a whole bunch of watercolor swatch colors, and we're gonna do some color mixing and add some wet and wet technique onto, and do dry on, wet on dry, because that's just dry paper. So do all kinds of fun stuff here in a minute. You can add little tiny things like this if you want. You can let your line break, which always looks cool, so it's not totally a straight line. And we'll just keep filling this up. And see how I get a little wonky there. So not all the same, just funner to look at. little stem like that. Bumps. And then you might have a little bit going back there that you can see. And come forward like, just so you can kind of lightly lift your pen there if you want line variation like that, which always looks nice. And then just some little tiny guys maybe here. Okay. Maybe have this guy on his side a bit. So since he was at an angle, see that instead of straight up and down with the curve, it's going to be going the way that the pumpkin's going. Okay, and then maybe we want to do an overlapping pumpkin. So like one facing us, like this. So he's on his side and his stem's facing us. So it's just going to be like a circle-y type shape right there. And when you do these, they'll go out like that. Okay, and then it's in the ground there. And I will have one right beside it there. Coming up, then the stem coming over this way. Okay. What are you gonna do? Line there. Just kind of do by what you like how it looks, and then we could do a little setup 3. Just varying things, keeping it very fun and interesting. Okay, and just all the different shapes here. The little guy right here. All right, so we'll get to painting now. So if you haven't done watercolor before, I always have 2 cups of water off to the side. And then I'm using a round brush. This is a round 14. It's pretty big. It's nice. It works for a lot of things. Has that nice point on it. And you can also push down on it. It will flatten and it will fill in a lot of space quickly. So this is a small sketchbook, I think. Oh goodness, I don't know. It's like a 5x7 or something. It's not very big. Yeah, like 5.5 by 8. Okay, it's a Stillman and Birn sketchbook. So it's small. So here's my brush. Anyway, this will make it fast to fill in things. So right now, paper is dry, and we can go in and I'll do the most basic technique there is. Your brush is wet. You mix up a nice color, and we'll go with some orange here. And I'm going to get another color ready so that I can put it in. And I wash my brush out. Oh, I have a dirty water and a clean water. So I'll rinse it out in the dirty water, and then I go to the clean water for the final rinse. And then I'm going to grab maybe some I think I'll do some raw sienna with that because that will look fun and fall. Okay, so dry. And you'll want your pen to be dry or it'll start to smear. I'm hoping it's dry here. And you just lay in the color like that, nice and wet. And then what you can do is you can drop in some of that orange in there too, and it's gonna look really cool. And it'll mix on the paper. You can push it around a little bit if you like. And different papers will take the watercolor differently. 100% cotton paper will take it the best. And I really like Arches or Fabriano for that, and cold press or rough paper is great. It has a little bit of a texture, so it creates some cool effects as well. So we'll let that dry in. We can do our stem a different color, or we can just keep it with that color. I don't know. Maybe I'll do burnt sienna, kind of brownish. And what's going to happen, anytime you touch where it's already wet, it'll fan into there, which looks cool. I like it. If you don't want it to blend and go into your other color, you need to not touch where it's wet, or wait till it dries and then add. Okay, so that's a real basic dry with wet brush technique. Now we could get a pumpkin wet here. And my ink's not quite dry. You can see that's okay. It'll look a little shadowy. Okay, and this Stillman Birn, I like it, but you can see that the water is sitting more on top on a, I think this is made for like mixed media, and you can use in watercolor. I can't remember if this one's an actual watercolor one, probably is, but it sits on top a little bit more than it would on some papers, like the Artist or something. It would absorb it faster. So I just dabbed it up, but you can see if it's glistening, it's still wet. So now you could take a color and add it and watch what happens. It's gonna move a lot more. See how it spans out? So wherever there's water, your color will fan out. Now you could go into that with another color, and we can go maybe like, so we'll use some orange there. Put it on either side. Just drop it in. So while it's wet, you can keep going in. You need to get a feel for how wet the paper is and how wet your brush is if you don't want to create blossoms. So if you don't want to create blossoms, your paper, if your paper is a certain wetness, your brush cannot come in wetter. So if you have more water on your brush than is on your paper, you're going to get a blossom. So you just want to be aware of that if you don't want a blossom. And I'll add some more like yellow down here maybe. Okay. So let's see how that does something different. So that one, they blend together. These ones, they fuse together a little bit differently. And if you use two different colors too, they're going to react differently as well. So then we can go in and like maybe we want to make a color. So we'll get some red, put it in with that orange. And this is just fun stuff. This isn't too serious. This is for fun. And we can come on here. Okay, and then say we want the sun to be right there. So we might take a little bit of a lighter color if we wanted. And so this one is that dry and wet technique again. And we're doing a little bit of shadow. And so if you want watercolor to be darker, you use less water with it. And you can always go into this wet area if you have less water on your brush. So I had just a ton of paint and not that much water. So I can go on there and just drop on the paint and it won't create a blossom. And by a blossom, I mean, I'll show you, we'll do one on purpose. I will show you what that is if you're not familiar with that. Now here, this is still wet and starting to dry. And so like if I wanted it to be a little more vibrant, I could come in, I just put a lot of paint. I didn't put a lot of water on my brush, but just a lot of paint. And I can do that, drop that in and let it be. Then we could have fun with our pumpkins and do some not pumpkin colors, but like your favorite color, maybe. Just drop that on there. And I'm going to show you the difference here too of some things. So we'll do the blue and the pink. And so the colors are mixing on the paper right now. So that's what this little pumpkin will teach us. So you can let the colors mix on the paper like that. That's going to look totally different than if we take those same two colors, pre-mix them over on our palette and then put them on. So mix them over here. You see how different that is? That's just going to be, and if you mix it all the way, then it's just going to be a flat color. So put it on this little guy here. Okay, it's just a flat color then. But you can still do that technique on here, and you could leave like that, and then you could go in, and you're going to see both colors there then. But this creates, I think, the most interesting and fun when you let it do what it does on the paper and just leave it alone. You can keep dropping in color there. And you can help it move around a little. I don't want to overwork it or fuss with it too much, but like that maybe. And then just leave it, and it'll dry real pretty. Let's do like a lighter color. And then we'll drop in a color on that. So get some yellow or something. Okay. I'm having a hard time moving away from orange. Now we can put orange on there, or we can add some red and let it mix on the paper a bit. And then you can, so see that it's not wet there, so it's not moving there. So if you add some water up here, so go around, add the water, and then barely touch that paint, it'll move into it. You can do the same thing down here. If you go out of the line, the paint will come out of the line, which that's kind of a cool look, and I do like it. So it just depends how you want your art. And this one, see, it's still wet up here, so I can go like that, and the paint will move over there. Now, when I was talking about blossom, so these are starting to be a little bit drier. If I go in with a really wet brush and I had paint on it, or no paint, and I just touch in there, you'll see what happens. I don't know if it'll happen as easily on this paper, but it should still happen. We'll see if it'll do it. But it's a good way to get textures. But you see how it starts pushing the paint around? Well, you get a blossom because it pushes the paint and it goes like that. So see, now you have like the little white spot there. It's not totally white, but you get what I mean. And so that's blossom. So if you want to go into that, you could go into it and not create a blossom by just adding only paint, barely any water. Okay, but if you add more water on there than is what on the paper, that's when you get the blossoms. And you can just keep going with this and have a lot of fun. So this would be a good time to maybe see, oh, well, I really like this color and this color. What color do they make together? Or how do they react together? Be a good little sheet for that. So you could try this technique where you add one color all over and then maybe add like a darker color. Now, we can get into a little color theory. So that's like a yellowy orange. So if I put a blue or a purple down there, we may get a gray if we let it mix too much. Complements look nice together, and I like them. You can do it, but and I don't mind some gray. But we can also add a buffer color to avoid any gray. This is not moving so much that it's causing a problem. So it will muddy up the color though, possibly if you're using two complements. So those are the ones across from each other on the color wheel. So it's, if you're a Broncos fan, it's orange and blue, and then Christmas, red and green. And then, I know there's teams, but I can't think of who, purple and yellow. So across from each other is a complement. So you can do that technique so then you got some shadow. Now if you want to add a shadow, I like to make a shadow color, and I like to kind of go in while it's still wet because then it pulls some of that color down. I think that looks so cool. So maybe like some ultramarine and some burnt sienna, or some purple in there too. Make a nice shadow color, and then if you come and you touch your pumpkin here, it'll pull some of that color down, which looks really neat in the shadow. And there you got your shadow. So again, you can come over here, and we can have our shadows going all different ways because it's like a whimsical page. We don't have to say that the sun is only shining one way on this page. You can go like this, kind of. And then you can fade your shadow out if you want, or you can leave it like that. So if you want to fade your shadow out, just get a damp brush and come and like just touch that, and pull it out, and then it's not as perfect of a line. Like this. And you always want it like really dark right underneath the item there. There you go. And it could even come up onto the object if you like. But see how pretty that is? And we're not going for total realism here, we're just having fun and it's whimsical. So you can do that. So again, that was purple, burnt sienna, and some ultramarine. And that just will add a little bit of gray to it. And if it's like getting too red or brown, add some blue. And I like to let it touch the object because it put shadow up on the object too. Again, I'm going to rinse out my brush and then come back, just a damp brush, and barely touch that edge. And look at that. It fades it out really nicely. And then, you know, if you want to leave some not colored in because you think that looks cool, go for that. If you want color in your banner here, let's see, what color should we make that? Yeah, I'm going to go with some yellow and add some more color perhaps. And if we want this to stand out, we can go back in like with a white. Now on this paper, my pen is not reacting well with the water, but on other papers it does. So another thing to test out and learn about each sketchbook and each paper. Okay. Let's see here. But you can learn a lot from just these fun little pages. And then if you want to drop some color in there or something. I don't really care where the color goes. I'm just slowly dropping it in, seeing what the watercolor wants to do. So this isn't like if you were creating something on purpose. This is a fun exercise to learn watercolor, okay? Just learn to see what it does and pay attention to how much water you have and different things like that, how your colors are working together. It's a good exercise in learning here for starting out. Okay. And then, let's see, I'm liking this color theme, so I'm not getting too adventurous, but maybe do a lavender pumpkin here. We haven't used lavender. Now this lavender is nice, but it's a little bit more opaque, which means, see how it's kind of covering up that black line? Watercolor is typically transparent. There are some colors that have a little bit of white when you buy them in the tube, have a little bit of white mixed in them, and they will then be a little bit opaque. Okay, so we're doing that. And then next to that, I kind of want to do a yellow one because I like how complementary colors look together, and I'm going to touch that purple a little, let it come over here. It fuses your painting, it makes it a little more cohesive and lets everything mingle. Oops, I went to the purple. I did not mean to do that, but we'll pretend. It looks nice. It's going to add a shadow. And then I could come over to my shadow color here and add a little more blue to it since we got so much purple going on. And just let it touch and that. And then that damp brush. Look at how all that color comes down. So just seeing it do things like that and learning. And I like to not control it a ton. I can control it pretty good. I don't think it comes out as neat. But if you know these tips, you will be able to get it to do a little bit more. All right, so just keep filling up the page. And so with watercolor, a lot of people go light to dark. So like you put in your lightest color, and then you may let that dry and bring in a darker color, or you may drop in the darker colors after the lighter color. Some people do still work dark to light in watercolor like you would with like acrylics. There are people that do that. They like to get their sense of their values a little more, and so they do it that way. It's preference. I do recommend starting out doing light to dark just to learn, and then break all the rules if you want later. And then a little pink one. We don't have a pink one. Maybe I'll add some red to that. Let's come up here. I kind of like to put the colors all over the page so that we wouldn't just focus on that one. So I'm keeping my painting cohesive in a way too. And you could add some purple into that one. And really no rules as far as the colors go. This is just supposed to be a fun page. And then that's my favorite color, that phthalo turquoise. But for design on your page, you'd want a little bit of, see, that's going to get muddy because I had the orange there. That's what I mean by mud. So you can see that it's real brown and stuff. And sometimes you might want a little mud. Let's see. I like to have nice colors, so because you can even create a beautiful gray, like we were doing here, with the ultramarine. And I don't think I have the best purple for creating the gray right here, but and the sienna here, so we can get a really nice gray. And it won't be like a black gray, but it'll just be, it's just nicer. Or okay, and then see, it's just, it's not so flat. Okay. Just kind of carry on that way about your whole page. Have lots of fun, and if you want to post and love to see your artwork, you can tag me on Instagram at Christy Dranak, or I don't know where else. I guess if you post on Facebook, I'm on Facebook as well. You can find me there again under Christy Dranak and share our art. I guess I should think of a hashtag for this project too, and then we can all post under that. I'll have to think about that. I didn't have anything in mind, but when I think of it, I'll let you know, and we can start posting that way. Let's see. There we go. Oh, I know what we'll call it. Let's do hashtag fall into watercolor. So fall into watercolor. That way we can find each other and have a fun little community, learning some illustration techniques and some watercolor together. Celebrating the season of fall and Halloween. If you have any ideas of things you'd like to learn or anything you weren't sure about in this lesson, feel free to comment below, and I will be checking that out, and I will take note of those things and try to include them in future demonstrations. Planning on having at least one video out a week with the theme of fall and Halloween. So it's all going to be drawing and watercolor related, and we're going to do, you know, mostly beginner stuff, but, you know, some intermediate stuff too. So let me know what you're interested in. I do portraits. I do, you can do animal portraits as well. Do a lot of whimsical stuff. If you look at my other videos, you can kind of get a feel for art journaling. So anyway, there's our page. Oh, and then if you want to add like some leaves, I wouldn't actually like draw the leaves, but so get some paint on your brush and then dip it in the water, and then just flick it. And then however many colors you want. So like if it's leaves, we do like yellow, orange, and red or something. Or, you know, you could do blue, I guess, too. Yeah, it's your page. It's whimsical. It's your world right there on the paper. There we go. And we'll call it good. So, had a lot of fun creating with you. I hope you learned tons. And if you have any questions or comments below, I'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.